Hundreds of students marched through campus last Friday to denounce both the dissatisfying university response to the grand jury verdict that failed to charge Louisville Metropolitan Police officers for the death of Breonna Taylor and what Black students see as a historical failure for Xavier administration to provide for their needs on campus. Taylor, a Black medical worker, was fatally shot in her Louisville home while LMPD officers John Mattingly, Miles Cosgrove, and Brett Hankison were serving a no-knock search warrant on the night of March 13th. On September 23rd, Hankison was indicted with 3 counts of wanton endangerment on the basis of stray bullets that entered a neighboring apartment unit. No charges were filed in relation to Taylor's death. Students waited for a response from their university regarding the indictment, but it wasn't until 24 hours later that a message from University President Father Michael Graham was sent to students. For Black women attending Xavier, these students see themselves in Taylor. Taylor isn't the first Black woman to be brutalized while the world carries on. The protesters began at the Scales of Justice on campus and later marched to the Xavier University's police department. As they walked, the streets and sidewalks were filled with chants of, "Say her name, Breonna Taylor." Organizer Seriah Barnes spoke of the fear she lives with.
I'm a Black woman here at Xavier University, a predominantly white institution, and I did not hear an utterance the day of from an organization on this campus. I want to make that known because I'm a Black woman and I am tired. I am tired for speaking for myself.
The grand jury's indictment and the university's response was not the only motivation for this event. Protest organizers expressed frustration at the lack of Black faculty and staff. To me, it's a problem that I see more Black workers in the CAF than in the classroom. Represent me in more than a menial job. We are more than menial jobs, said senior Cameron Lakes. The Center for Diversity and Inclusion has served as a safe space for students on campus and is often cited as a source of support for Black students. But protesters argued that CDI Director Dr. Kira Shaheed and the few other Black staff members that work with students bear an overwhelming burden as some of the only resources for Black students. Notably, the sole Black counselor at Psychological Services and Lieutenant Sean Bryce, who is a Black ex-UPD officer that was active in the Xavier community, both parted with the university this summer. Along with a lack of representation, a number of students came forward to give testimony to their experiences with both academic advising and racial discrimination.
If y'all don't know me, my name is Seriah Barnes. I'm also a nursing major. Now, I don't know how many of y'all realize I ain't not seen one Black nursing professor, preceptor, anyone administrator in that building. And I'm going to tell you something else. I've been here for 5 years. Someone asked me why. Because that nursing program decided to hold me back because I am a minority. They try to tell me my GPA wasn't what it is. My GPA was perfectly fine.
The crowd that attended the protest was unexpected, being filled with deans, coaches, athletes, and hundreds of other members of the Xavier community. David Mengel, Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, noted his pride that students were comfortable speaking up on campus.
Yeah, obviously, I'm thrilled to be watching our students step up and step out, as the case is. It's a really important moment for them to make their voices heard, both for what's going on in society and what's going on campus. And so I wanted to be here to listen and to hear what they have to say.
Members of the athletic department felt so strongly in attending that practices were canceled to allow student athletes to attend, including the men's and women's basketball teams. Women's head basketball coach Melanie Moore was seen standing proudly with members of the basketball team, saying that we must listen, be the change, and educate ourselves. Men's head basketball coach Travis Steele was also in attendance. For Daniel Ramsey, a sophomore forward on Xavier's men's basketball team, attending Friday's protest was to stand in unity with victims of racial injustices.
We just wanted to take a stand as a team just to show our unity and how we feel about the things that happened with the Breonna Taylor trial and just that whole situation. So we thought this was a good way to get in some good trouble and just use our voices and our platform to really try to bring about change.
Protesters hope that Friday's demonstration is the spark Xavier administration needs to begin making changes and end racial injustice on campus. One of the final students spoke to the group of protesters, saying, "We are tired. We are crying, and the fact that you guys have to ask us, what can we do? What do you mean, what can I do? We are tired of explaining it. I hope the administration is out here taking notes. I hope you're out here listening instead of just saying, 'Oh, I came to that.' Quit asking me what you can do."
No racism! No justice! No racism! No justice! No racism! No justice! No racism! No justice! No racism!
Hello, listeners, and welcome back. At this time, we would like to welcome the organizer of Speak Up XU, Seriah Barnes. Hello, Seriah. How are you?
Hi, how are you? I'm okay.
I'm well, thank you. So we would just like to do a quick interview with you. Will, go ahead and take it away.
Nice to talk to you today, Seriah. So my first question would be, at what point in time or moment did you know that a protest needed to be organized?
So on Wednesday, there was actually a lot of Black events going on, and when that jury decision had came out, my mom actually informed me before anybody else. And when I saw it, it took a moment for me to just really process that this was happening again. And as soon as I got off the phone with her and was at the other events and didn't hear anything, no utterance of it, I knew at that moment. I picked up the phone, I called my president for lead, Shelby Dudley, and I was like, I don't know what you want to do for next week's event, but right now something has to happen. And we have to be loud about it because Xavier isn't. So it was literally probably an hour after I found out what happened, I just was overwhelmed again with those emotions of being a Black woman and feeling silenced. So yeah.
Can you please just explain to us in a few words what the protest was directly about and who it was directed towards?
So I would just get this out, that it wasn't necessarily just directed toward the United States justice system. This was directed towards Xavier. Xavier administration, Xavier students, Xavier faculty in general that just haven't necessarily been loud or really making enough noise. We got back to campus and everybody became extremely silent about what was happening. During the pandemic, everybody was loud. I heard people talking about COVID, I heard people talking about George Floyd and all of that. So this was directed at administration. It was directed toward the situations that have happened here on campus, my own injustices, as well as the injustices toward Black students, people of color on this campus, including regular students, because I think a lot of people don't understand their rights and genuinely just what we deserve. So with that being said, that's really who it was directed toward.
Oh, awesome. Did you expect as many people that actually came to come, or was there a number you had in mind for how many people you thought would show up?
For me, I know a lot of people were doubting the movement just because it was out of the blue. I kind of was just no, we're going to do it. I'm not going to ask for permission. This is going to have to happen. I didn't doubt the amount of people that would come, but there was a lot more optimism from a lot of other people, or a couple other people that were like, Seriah, this is going to be big. We have to do something about it. Don't expect to just be talking to a few people. People actually care. So for me, I was extremely surprised by the amount of people that actually showed up, because you didn't just have Xavier students, you had UC students that I knew. Yeah, UC students had been there. A couple of professors from UC had actually showed up as well, and people from the Norwood community. So I was really just expecting to see Xavier students. But we had faculty, we had people from a completely different university that all just came and were like, no, we support you, we support this, and we need to be loud. So the turnout was crazy.
That's awesome.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I didn't even know that UC
I wasn't aware that
up.
UC was involved.
Yeah.
Awesome. You mentioned LEAD earlier, and I know Goal, I'm sure, had a hand in this, but what clubs and organizations were involved in the making of the protest?
Actually, the only reason LEAD was kind of involved was just because I'm the vice president of it, and I had to say something to Shelby about it, but most of it was organized by me. However, The club that I would give the most credit to with actually helping out with this had actually been the National Panhellenic Council, which is NPHC. That's our Black Greek sororities and fraternities here on campus. They donated all of those waters you saw. They were running around, passing them out. My boyfriend is a Kappa, so he's actually was running up and down, making sure everything was handled, and they had a big hand in donating all of that. The day before, they were calling me like, "What do you need? How can we help you?" And I was like, "It's gonna be hot." And that was the one thing they were like, "We need to make sure we get waters. We need to make sure we have a couple masks for people that don't have it." So they were a big part of this, but it was really just like singly student led. It wasn't necessarily like an attached organization. It was really just like, Black leaders, I need your help. I want to do this. Come out, and they showed out for sure. So yeah.
Really, really cool. Did you feel like, and this is kind of a general statement, but do you feel like your message got across to the people that you felt it needed to get across to on campus? Or is it a little too early to tell?
I think they heard us.
Okay.
And I say that just because you guys picked it up.
Yeah.
I think if they didn't, like, if nobody heard us, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. If nobody heard me, I wouldn't have got the looks from administration when I was talking, if nobody had heard us. And you had Sierra and Cam, their quotes. You had Dr. Kyra. I know you didn't know the pronunciation, but that's okay. I just want to make sure everybody knows that's Dr. Kyra Shahid. And you had, especially with having her there, I knew having somebody that cared about Black students but wasn't necessarily worried and fearful of their job being possibly like a consequence was important. So I knew from that moment, I was like, you can hear us. When I got backlash, I knew people could hear us. When I saw the news
That's
pick
usually
up
a
the
good
story,
tell. Yeah, that's usually a good tell.
Exactly. So when the news picked up the story and they were out there asking me questions, I was like, oh no, you hear us now, because Xavier can't push this under the rug anymore. You have to confront situations that become public, especially at a private university. So I think administration heard us. I mean, I'm still waiting for my emails because I know it's going to happen.
Surprised you haven't gotten them yet.
Exactly. So like, I've gotten a couple of administration reaching out to me asking what they could do. But this just wasn't my first situation at Xavier. I got in jumped back in February. I had been called the N-word on Zoom. They try to keep that hushed, but it's okay. It was me. And it's just a lot of different things that were happening. And it's like, they've seen my face, but they haven't heard me. So I think now there's no pushing that away. Everybody kind of knows what happened. Everybody knows now that administration on many levels are not allowing the success of Black students here on campus. So I think it was loud and clear what I was going for, and really getting those Black voices out there to hear, hey, this is happening to us. You can't ignore it. I think that was big, and I think I'm pretty sure they heard us. I don't know if you guys know, but I think they did.
I literally heard you. I walked
I would
out.
agree
I was
with
like,
that.
there they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, wow, there were so many people there. That's
Yes, that
awesome.
was so
Very
beautiful
exciting.
to me.
Fantastic. Well, quite an empowering moment. Now that that is over with, that has happened, what, if any, efforts are being made both on campus and just moving forward to continue to push this change?
So, actually, one of the administrative advisors for the basketball team reached out to my boyfriend asking if he knew me, just to see if he could, because I guess what stuck with them was the fact that I said there are many minority clubs that are underfunded. So they've reached out and they're actually trying to get that funding toward it. So that's one portion of what's going on. I know we have a couple of demands that we've been wanting to get out there. A couple of different Black leaders, a couple of different Black students. We kind of got together and we're like, we need this, we need that. If Xavier wants to be actively anti-racist, this is what needs to happen. So right now it's really getting those demands and getting administration to actually talk back. Because right now it's kind of like we're speaking toward them. And more so speaking at them, even though we want it to be an open conversation, we want a panel or something to where we're actually answered. So right now, it's continuing to make that noise because, once again, we can't do this and allow it to be performative and not go further.
Yeah.
So people still want that. People are asking me to do more protests, doing certain things. So it's just getting to administration at this point.
Awesome. I'm not sure, Erin, if you have any questions for Seriah before we close this out.
Maybe just, how can students make everyday changes within their community on Xavier's campus to, end racial injustice here?
So one, recognize your privilege. Whether that be in class, when you realize that the syllabus is majority around people that look like you, as well as recognizing that, or actually, I would say recognizing that when your friends say certain things, that it's not okay, that it's your job to say something, whether I'm in the room or I'm not. I think Xavier has a big problem with not wanting to speak up because you feel like you're by yourself in a closed room with just your friends. So I think that's a big part, as well as actually demanding justice, demanding that you see something come out of Xavier on a different level. You want to see how people are going to react. You want to demand, especially using your privilege, you want to demand that we actually do something about that. Ask for the budget, ask for where your funds are going, ask why is that person not allowed to graduate but my GPA is lower than theirs. Ask certain questions like that. Make sure you're asking questions. I think that's really what you can do right now, and uplift the voices that are trying to be heard but can't be. So I think that's really important, and keep covering this. Like, you guys are awesome because
Thank you.
there's very rarely people that want to cover a situation like this. I told you guys about my assault before. That did not get covered by anybody. And that was a petition that got over 2,500 signatures.
Wow.
So it's the point of making sure you guys elevate Black voices and make sure that you're listening, as well as trying to push them up so that they're heard by people that don't want to listen. So yeah, I think that's what we can do.
I think I'd like to close out this segment twofold. First of all, we'd love to have you back on at any point.
Yes.
You've been a great
Yes,
guest.
definitely.
Oh, thank you.
We'd love to hear everything you've had to say, and I think that it's a really important message, and I'm sure everybody here would agree. Second of all, I would just like to give you the floor if there's any final messages or things you would like to get out there, both to the university and just to students and people around campus. Floor is yours.
A couple things. One, our job isn't done. We got out there, we were loud for a day, it was hot. Our job's not done. We have other things that we need to be worried about. We have a lot of voices that we need to elevate other than Seriah's. I can lead everybody, but I can't protect everybody because, once again, my protection and my safety has been compromised literally 3 different times, and especially since I came out here, that's a big thing. So make sure you're protecting your fellow students. Make sure every time, and I'm not saying just by like physical things, like words hurt.
Yes.
I need y'all to speak up. I need everybody to speak up. Like, we cannot afford to go silent again. Because I feel like America's been silent way too long, and especially Xavier University, we have that I would say that ability. I would really say to be silent. We don't have to say anything. We're a private university, so I want everyone just to not be silent anymore, because you're creating this violent situation where it's deafening for people that look like me. Especially when so many people love me so much or say they love me, it hurts when I don't see those same people that say they love me show out for me.
Yeah.
So it's really just make sure, and make sure you're comfortable with being uncomfortable. I think Black people have gotten so used to doing that everybody just relies on them. Like, okay, you're strong. Okay, they're going to do that. Like, have Black friends. It's okay. I understand if you don't understand everything I'm going through, but we be willing to open yourself up to that. So that's really what I would say. I'd say silence is violence, so we can't get silent again, and open yourself up to being uncomfortable. Open yourself up to spaces that you haven't been in before. Go to Black clubs. Like, if you think it's something that you can't go to, go. I promise you, nobody's gonna be looking at you like, oh, that white kid is walking in. Like, they're gonna be like, oh, somebody cares. Somebody's willing to listen to me. So yeah, do that. I think just don't get silent.
Wonderful. All right, Seriah Barnes, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thank you
you
very
guys.
much.
Absolutely, anytime.
Once again, thank you so much, Seriah. You've given us so many great things to think about and so many great things to act upon.
Right.
We are going to say goodbye, unfortunately, but I agree with Will. We would absolutely love to have you on the
Please
show.
let me know anytime. Anytime.
Yes,
I'm
of
willing
course.
to talk to you guys, okay?
All right, listeners, we're going to go move on to our feature on the print, so we'll see you there.